Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on YouTube at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Coming up this evening here on Hot Edition, 2 more suspects arrested in connection with the alleged murder of Eric Johnson, Chief Executive Officer of the Royal Cozy Hill Hotel in Jarapa in the Upper West region. We'll give you details of this gruesome murder as we are getting some information from the Ghana Police Service here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also, the newly sworn in assembly members implore government to ensure timely release of common funds for district assemblies. This evening, we explore the funding bottlenecks impeding effective local governance here on Hot Edition. And ahead of the December elections, Food and Beverages Association of Ghana to support presidential candidates who would champion business-friendly policies. We give you details of these, plus all the reactions, especially from the members of this association here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions are also welcome. As we're also hearing from the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, that's COP Mamiya Tiwa Dankwa, saying that it is not under pressure. That's a political pressure to investigate or prosecute cases. That is the Economic and Organized Crime Office boss. We'll give you details of that shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And we're streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 92.7 and also on Instagram at 3FM 927. Share with us your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions. Read out to you and to the rest of the world. Let's get into the details now shortly. And my name is Alfred Ocansey. 2 more suspects have been arrested by the police in connection with the alleged murder of Eric Johnson, the Chief Executive Officer of Royal Cozy Hill Hotel, popularly called Jarapa Dubai, in Jarapa in the Upper West region. The latest arrests have shot the number of suspects in custody to 7. The 7 suspects, namely Dokuri Foster, Brahima Kassam, and Boyo Felix, who is described as the manager of the businesses owned by the late Eric Johnson. Boyo Felix is a man that's according to the details as given by the Ghana Police Service. Michael Kloje and Kumbata Kweko, Charles Toje, and Favor Nobe, all workers of the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel. Now, the body of the deceased Ghanaian businessman has been deposited at the Wa Regional Hospital morgue awaiting autopsy, though the immediate family of the late CEO is yet to comment on the issue. Some residents say they are now living in a state of fear and worry and are calling on the authorities to bring the perpetrators to book. We're going to go live shortly to the area and speak to a man on the ground, Ibrahim Abubakar Wangara, who has been interacting with the close family relatives of the late Eric Johnson, plus also is being to the facility, which has been now described as a crime scene, according to the Ghana Police Service. And Ibrahim Wangara is joining us on the telephone. Ibrahim, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, Alfred.
Now, I know that you've been talking to the close relatives of the late Eric Johnson, plus some of the workers as well in this hotel. What have they been telling you?
Yes, they are all expressing fear, because what they have woke up to witness is something, according to them, that they have never seen before. And then the kind of person involved also is increasing the level of fear among them, because this is someone that is admired by many within the area. And then he has also gotten a national recognition, not to talk about the number of employment opportunities that he has created within the enclave. So for a personality to at least to be stabbed or to be killed in this manner is something that they think security officials or stakeholders within the region should be taken into consideration and work effortlessly and hardly to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book. That is basically something that most of the residents are very keen in and calling in for.
I see. Now, we're also getting some information that, and I know you've been also checking that Eric Johnson was found murdered in one of the rooms in the hotel. and not the earlier information that he was rather found dead in his private residence. What's the latest to this? Was he found dead in one of the rooms in the hotel or in his private residence, as has been said now?
What happened is he was found dead in a pool of blood at a residence that is within the hotel.
Right.
Because his residence, he has chosen part of the hotel to serve as his personal residence.
I see.
So currently, that is the situation. Where he stays or where he was found dead is within the hotel, which serves as his residence, also closer to the presidential villa, where it is reserved for only executive class of people, should any of them visit the facility. So that is where he was found. And then looking at the security nature of that place, to say the least, is something that many people think none other person could come in to do or to commit such a crime if an intruder or someone within the vicinity has not contributed in the way or not even taken the lead to commit this crime. Because the place is well fenced, about 3 different fences with other security mechanisms being put in place. That is to talk of CCTV cameras and other things. So that is the nature of the place. But currently, as we speak, the whole place has been described as a crime zone. So it means that no one else can get closer to there at the moment until investigations go to a point.
I see, but we understand that there are some persons already in the hotel, as in guests who are residing in the hotel when, as at this morning. Any idea of what has happened or where they are now that the hotel premises has been classified as a crime scene?
Yes, Alfred, if you look at the hotel, it is in stages or in groups, I should put it. So where the part that is open to the public is entirely different from where the crime has been committed. So you go into like I put earlier on, the hotel room is in about 3 different fences. There's a first fence, second fence, and then third fence. So where the incident happened is within the third fence, where no any other person can have access into. But the other first and second place is generally open to the public. So even yesterday when we were there, people were coming in, though their number wasn't that much, but people were going in. If you are not even told that something happened at the another end of it, you will not be able to know. The whole place is about 4 kilometers wide. That is an estimation that I will give to the surrounding or
the land size on which the hotel is.
The hotel, yes.
That's huge. I mean, if you're talking about 4 kilometers, that's huge to say the least. And we understand that the assailants also took a vehicle belonging to him away. How about that? Do you have some information on that one as well?
Yeah, I also got that from the scene, because what happened is it is information available to us has it that after the perpetrators committed their crime, they were finding or they wanted to find their way out of the vicinity without them being noticed. And looking at the security nature of the place, all the doors are sensors. So they could not have gotten out of the place without finding a means. So when that happened, they resorted to using the man's vehicle. So which then aided them because of the sense in their car and that of the gate. So when they go to the gate was open to them, and then they were able to leave the place and then later on abandon their car in the middle of the town.
I see. So they used the deceased vehicle to escape from the crime scene. And so that's how come they were able to get out of the hotel, because the security at the hotel assumed that these were persons who were associated with the deceased?
They were even thinking it was the deceased, the late Mr. Eric, that was even in a car.
So, but the windows are tinted?
Yes.
I see. Now, based on at least this snippets of information that we're getting, and you've been talking to some of the residents as well, not just the hotel staff, the people in the community that this hotel is located. They've heard this news as well. What have they been telling you?
Alfred, it's not a good news to them at all because looking at the kind of person involved, they think that if something like this nature could happen to the late Eric, then the rest of them staying within the vicinity are equally not safe. Because this is a man or someone that has been very careful in all his activities and his living style within the compound with all the assistants, security assistants, and people that are always closer by him. If something like this could happen to them without any individual noticing it, then it's a worry to them. That has been most of their cry. So they are calling for a security to be beefed up in the situation. Security visibility should be improved within the vicinity for the short period of time until investigations will be over.
I see. Now, quickly before you go, we understand that the late Eric Johnson, who is the owner of this Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, has been described as a very influential man in the area. Tell us the extent of his influence. Who is this man we're talking about?
Mr. Eric, yes, he is very influential because in this part of our country, if you could establish at least a business or an environment that is so huge like this, and then having been able to employ several people, being recognized as someone who is contributing massively to the creative industry and then the tourism within the northern part of Ghana, is somebody that we are talking of now. Mr. Eric was someone that in almost not only in Ghana, in other countries, he's doing business with them. Even some of the top leaders, I'm told he's having dealings with some of these people. So that kind of person, even when supporting the needy, he doesn't look back. He doesn't consider where you are coming from. He just aids you if he can, or if you have the opportunity to get in touch with him, and then your problems will get solved. So with such a kind of person, at least it's one thing that they can take away from him. He was very helpful, and that gave him that kind of recognition.
Abaka, appreciate your time on this. And I know this is something that you're staying the steam on as well. So we'll definitely come to you for some more information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ibrahim Abubakar Wangara is a man on the ground in the particular area. Specifically, we're talking about the Upper West region, where hours after the murder of Eric Johnson, the owner of the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel in the Upper West region, went viral on social media. For those of you who want to have an idea of the man we're talking about, if you go on our Facebook page at 3FM 927, at 3FM 927, you'll see images of this hotel we're talking about. That's six also on a 4-kilometer stretch of a land. Now we're talking about a land size of close to 600 acres of land that this hotel sits on. That's how big the hotel is that we're talking about now. And it's quite surprising, to say the least, for the many people who have had some sort of association with him. Now, we've received some exclusive detail from sources close to the family and workers at the facility that, while available information indicates that Eric Johnson, the owner of this facility, who's been murdered now, popularly called Jirapa Dubai, was found murdered in one of the hotel rooms. It's just been confirmed, as you just heard from a man on the ground, Ibrahim Abubakar Wangara, that the deceased was rather found dead in his private residence, which shares boundaries with the hotel. According to our correspondent, the murder is said to have taken place at about 1:30 a.m. because that was the time that the stolen vehicle of the late Eric Johnson was driven out of his residence by the assailants. So these persons who are suspected to have killed him drove his vehicle out of the residence because that was the only way they were able to escape the watchful eyes of the security. in that hotel, but we understand that the vehicle has been abandoned in somewhere in the town outside of the hotel. So that's the information we have now. The police is also following this quite closely. As you do know, the Ghana Police Service does not talk to the media beyond the statements that they issue. So the details of the statement that we have now, the latest statement for the Ghana Police Service indicates that 7 people have so far been arrested as a result of this incident. The earlier arrests were 5. In fact, 1 person was first picked up, 4 persons additional picked up later, and then we have now 2 persons being the latest who have been picked up now. So the total number of suspects who have been picked up as a result of the murder of Eric Johnson, who is the owner of the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, now up to 7 of them, with the names as giving us Dokuri Foster, Brahima Kasim, Felix Bayo, who's been described as the manager in charge of all the businesses of the late Eric Johnson, Michael Koje, and Kumbata Kweku, Charles Tuze, and Favor Noabe, all workers of the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel. So the body of the deceased Ghanaian businessman has been deposited at the Wa Regional Hospital morgue awaiting autopsy. This is something we're keeping an eye on quite closely. We'll be updating you as we go on here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. But as we speak, newly sworn in assembly members have implored on government to ensure the timely release of common funds for district assemblies. They observed that the continuous delay in the release of the funds impedes local community development. The assembly members were reacting to a call on them by the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Daniel Kwekuboche, to live up to their core mandate of bridging the development gap in their various electoral areas. Let's take a listen first to the Minister's inaugural speech at Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly earlier today.
Assembly should be resourceful. Many of the funds, and let me repeat, all the internally generated funds all stay in the assembly for the assembly's work. So that is done. Then you have common fund which comes, supposed to come every quarter. It is something that has not been satisfactory for over the years. We need the assembly to do so many things. The revenue that they should raise, are they raising the revenue that they do? And if they do, are they judicially spending the money? So these are all things that all of us and the citizens should all be involved, so that we all call on all players within the chain to play their role. We all have to question that and find out why. The other aspect of the executive that we have to admit is to also ensure that the finance ministry releases the money to the common fund as regularly as it should.
On the issue of female participation in local governance, Dan Boche was concerned about their low representation on the out of the 66 members forming the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. Only 6 are women, out of which 2 were elected and 4 appointed. We're talking about 60 men and 6 women making up the KMA, and this was a worry to the minister.
It's still very low in terms of those who put themselves up for election. If you look at the analysis, we have course to be done about the first 6 or 7 elections. It's not satisfactory at all. Others about 4% or 5%, very low. Those who put themselves up for the elections, very low, and then those who get even elected, also very low. That is why Mr. President has directed that in the area of the appointees, the aim is that this should submit for appointment 30% of the government appointees, and we are going to make sure it is done. Then again, when people see that many of the women have been appointed and they have acted and performed as government appointees, it might encourage others to put themselves up as elected members. Maybe even those who function as government appointees, maybe say, well, I think that we are functioning enough and now we want to be elected directly by the people. This is one of the ways that Mr. President has directed that we do to, as it were, increase the participation of women in local governance. Then also we have people with disabilities. You know that we have a fund for people with disabilities at each local assembly. So the issue is that why not have their representation? You cannot leave it by chance that in case one of them gets elected. So there has been a directive in each district assembly, in all the government appointees, at least there should be one person with disability in the assembly.
So, on the issue of the delay in the release of the Disassembly's Common Fund, some assembly members say the delay in the release of the fund may hinder their effort to address developmental needs of their people. Already, most metropolitan municipal and district assemblies have not received the quarterly funds for more than a year. Now, this, according to some assembly members, has led to a halt in many community projects. Let's hear from Ernest Ocansey, an assembly member for Asafo electoral area.
For Asafo, one of our major challenges has got to do with the police station. So when I assumed the office as an assembly member, I wrote a letter to the assembly for the construction of a police station. It was put in the action plan in 2021. 2022, it was rollover. 2023, it was rollover. So we are now in 2024. When you ask, they say, we don't have enough funds. So when the funds are released on time, I think this year we will get our police station. So it delays projects in the various electoral areas, and it doesn't work well for the assembly.
So without a common fund, development are not going to come on in our electoral areas. So we hope that the ninth assembly, there's going to be a change for development when common funds are being pushed for development. They are at the top there, and they talk about development, and our electorates are looking up to us for us to also do our best for the community. So we are also urging the minister to also tell the people up there to also help us get the common fund for us to execute our projects.
So it has some of the assembly members their clear concern about the delay in the release of the common fund, which has been a situation for a while now. Dr. Richard Fiadomo is president of the Chamber of Local Governance. Chalog is joining us on the telephone for a quick conversation on this. Dr. Fiadomo, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yeah, good evening, cherished listeners.
Great. Now, we're back to this same conversation about the delay in the release of the Disassembly's Common Fund. This time around, the Minister, Dankwa Kubochia, admits that indeed the Finance Ministry can do better in promptly releasing these funds. But he also talks about a conversation so we get to know exactly what the problem is. But beyond the Finance Ministry's delay in releasing the funds, where lies the other reasons for this delay?
Yeah, thank you very much. There can never be any delay apart from what we know. We have a finance minister who collects the money, and constitutionally, once the money is collected, those monies are supposed to be lodged into the DACF account. Yet those monies have been collected, and the finance minister has blatantly refused to release the money to the DACF account for it to be sent to the state assembly. So if you have a local government minister saying that there's an issue, and he says that he doesn't do anything about the problem, I dare say that this government in particular is not committed to local governance in this country, and the better we see them off, it will be good for all of us.
No, but so what exactly can be done in a situation like this? Because here's the minister talking and also pointing to the same problem that you and I have been talking about. So really, as the assembly members are crying now for the money, and that without it, they cannot execute development at the local level. What has to be done?
Yeah, at the risk of sounding partisan, we never saw this during the John Kufuor's reign. We never saw this during Atamil's John Mahama reign. We all know that common fund is always in arrears, at least one quarter. Worst case scenario during the NDC time, 2 quarters. Then we have a situation where we have 4 quarters, 1 full year, money has not been released. And you have a sitting local government minister doing nothing about it and telling us, also lamenting. If the local government minister is lamenting our common fund, we the ordinary people, what should we do? So it is a clear sign that this is a government that does not care about local governance. A typical example, when the MPP came to government in 2017, they capped the common fund. It has to take the intervention of the Supreme Court to get the common fund to be uncapped.
True.
So if you have a situation whereby you know the DACF fund is supposed to do for development at the local areas, and then you come and you cap it, it means that you do not value what the money is supposed to do. So for some of us, we are not surprised that the finance minister has blatantly refused to release the funds to the assemblies, and then we have a minister trying to lament to us. I mean, these lamentations for me is a sign of people who are sleeping on their job. And for me, I have always said that if you look at the assembly members, you have a situation whereby this DACF, the MPs, the law requires that they should do formula for the monies to be disbursed to the assembly. we are told that if your mother is in the kitchen, you cannot be hungry. So the MPs have taken 8% of the share of the fund. Yet the assembly members who are bona fide members of the assembly, who are the representatives of the people at the assembly, who are the development agents, not even a dime is given to them, even as an electoral area development fund. So we go around the circles and come together, and we are at the same point. So, yes, we have heard John Mahama have come out to say that when he comes, he will cut down ministers to 60 and use the difference of the money to pay assembly members consolidated allowance. We only hope and pray that it's not one of political rhetoric, but that is a sign of somebody who cares about the local governance sector. We have also been told about an electoral area development fund, and when that also comes, the assembly members can have some financing that they can have projects. I heard the KMA assembly member who spoke and said for 3 years he's just having a police post to be built in his area. It has not been done. Assuming there was a common fund dedicated to that particular electoral area, it will have taken these 3 years. So we have a minister who is simply sleeping on the job. So he should not be lamenting and telling Ghanaians where the problem is. He's supposed to fix the problem.
But with the current situation now that these people have been faced with, the assembly members, what other ways can they also go about seeking solution to the problem that they are faced with this delay, and then also which has resulted in the non-completion of the many projects at the assembly level?
Yeah, the only thing is two things. Either the finance minister is sacked so that we can get a progressive finance minister who will know that those funds are statutory funds. They are constitutional related funds. So they must be released. We have a situation whereby it says that he's not releasing the funds. So for the assembly members and indeed the assemblies, there is very little they can do if the funds are not released. You and I know that it took this same government that does not care about local governance to take property rates from the assemblies and give it to GRA, a private contractor with GRA acting as a decoy. Last year, during the budget, the same minister now said the assemblies should go back for it. The assemblies last year lost a lot of money. So if you will not give us our common fund, you are also not allowing us to collect our IGF to be able to do development projects. So for me, when I look at the whole scenario, it is just a bunch of people who do not care a hoot about local governance in this country, and we do not want them to see being in the helm of affairs, and instead of fixing the problem, then you have a whole local government minister doing lamentation about a problem. Meanwhile, he has been appointed to fix it. So that is where we are. There's very little the assemblies and indeed assembly members can do if the finance minister refuses blatantly to release the monies to the assembly.
Dr. Richard Fiadomo, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is mine.
Is the president of the Chamber of Local Governance, Shalom, Dr. Richard Fiadomo there. Now, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana is saying it will support any presidential candidate who will promote business-friendly policies if elected. According to the association, the quote private sector has been buffeted by a number of taxes, different taxes, with overall tax levels constantly rising. Now, the situation, it noted, has left the sector disillusioned, with most players also exploring investment options in neighboring countries such as Togo and Cote d'Ivoire, while most businesses are seeing their working capital disappearing by the day. A statement signed by the chair of FABAC, John Awuni, encouraged members of the association to vote in the upcoming elections based on the taxes and policies each presidential aspirant will bring on board. Now, let's get a bit more into this. And Reverend John Awuni is the chair of this FABAC. He's joining us on the telephone. That's the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. Reverend John Awuni, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good evening, Alfred. My pleasure.
Great. Now, you're talking about the situation that the private sector is faced with right now, with the array of taxes and the overall tax levels constantly rising. Now, we're in a year where there's an election ahead of us. You are major players or major stakeholders as well. What do you say would inform your voting pattern, who you're going to vote for going forward?
Thank you very much, Alfred. As you are aware, the private sector is beset with so many challenges. The issue of taxation is at the core of it. As from 2017, the year 2017, so many taxes were introduced. And even before then, the previous government saved, and the private sector has always been at the receiving end of government taxation policies, and it has worked negatively against the growth and development of the private sector. And that is the reason why, essentially, the manufacturing sector in the year 2022 grew negatively. And that was like negative 2%. And essentially, you can also find out a whole lot of unemployment in the country. And then you also find out SMEs very, very small, and many other businesses refusing to formalize their businesses because they fear to be taxed. And so our issue is that moving forward in the 2024 elections, we want to see and want to hear what the presidential candidates and the various political parties have to offer to the private sector in terms of how they want to solve our problems, our challenges. The issue of high utility, the issue of the excise tax that were introduced on fruit juices and drinks, the issue of the growth and sustainability tax that was introduced, the e-levy, the increase in benchmark values of various commodities, just even by the close of the year 2023, almost by 100%. The issue of high electricity, water bills, and generally the overlapping functions of the regulatory authorities all add to the cost of doing business in the country. So we want to hear from the from the government, from the political party, how do you intend to reinvigorate the growth and development in the private sector? How do you intend to make the private sector profitable? How do you intend to make the private sector see itself not as people engaged in criminal activity in the country, but as partners in development with the government? And so that's what we'll be looking forward to.
I see. Already, the flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been talking about abolishing some taxes if elected as president. Now, the conversation around that promise has been that if those taxes are bad or are nuisance or not good for private sector development, why shouldn't it be done now as against 2025 when it's voted into power? Now, this is a promise that affects you, the private sector, as well. Is the expectation of the decision being taken now one that you share as well, or you would rather also give the benefit of the doubt to be voted into power in 2025 before that decision is taken?
Well, I would say that I listened to His Excellency the Vice President, and his delivery was very excellent. The speech was very excellent, even though I still had some I thought that some bit of gas could have been filled in various areas. But having said that, I would say that he's part of the government, and they said prior to their entry into government that they will move the private sector, the business sector, from taxation to production. But as it is, he himself acknowledged that there are so many taxes that have hindered the development of the private sector. As the e-levy he mentioned, emissions tax, the growth and sustainability tax, again repeating myself, and then many other taxes that he himself said when he comes, he will look at or ensure that they are cancelled. In fact, they say the coming events cast their shadow. He is still part of the government. He is still in government. He's looking for the mandate of the people. For credibility's sake, we would rather prefer the government do certain things now so that it can give hope that, yes, once they will say coming events cast their shadows, we think that what they have done, they will do better, or he will do better when given the opportunity. But to have told us that they will move us from taxation to production, and it hasn't happened. And the fact the sector has rather grown negatively, particularly the manufacturing sector. And the ports have become so dry, and many have started now to divert the importation of their goods to Cote d'Ivoire and Togo. I think that much has to be done now. The taste of the cake is in the eating. We want to eat the cake now so that we can be sure that the pie that he's promising us in future will also be a good one to be eaten.
Reverend John Awoni, appreciate your time. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Reverend John Awoni there talking to us. He is the national chairman of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. This is Hot Edition. We're live on KESME 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions are welcome. Share with us on Facebook right now as you're streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 927. Also on KESME 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond, and share your thoughts with us. Let's get into issues of education as President Akufo-Addo, in a sarcastic reaction to a recent comment by former President John Dramani Mahama on examination malpractices, has inquired from students of Cape Coast-based Wesley Girls Senior High School if they were really engaging in an examination malpractice in collaboration with the government, as was being alleged. President Akufo-Addo's question follows the statement by former President John Mahama that the recent WASSCE results by Ghanaian students were not a true reflection of the ability of the students, but through some of the teachers also helping the students in that process. According to the former president, who's also the flag bearer of the NDC in the 2024 elections, some invigilators, in collaboration with teachers, aided the students to cheat during examinations. But President Akufo-Addo was speaking at the 187th Speech and Prize Giving Day of Wesley Girls High School in Cape Coast, dismissed the said allegation, describing it as unfortunate comments intended to score political points.
The sad nature of aspects of contemporary Ghanaian politics drove some otherwise allegedly responsible people, including a former president and perennial presidential candidate, to question the integrity of the results, happily, without any foundation, and attribute these results to cheating. Students of Wesley Girls High School, Wegehe girls, do you cheat in examinations? I'm sure this loud no will send a message to those who express this unfortunate, misguided sentiment. Ladies and gentlemen, government intends to continue to deepen the education of our population so as to attain our industrialization objective. This means that there will be increasing emphasis on science and technology education and technical and vocational training. The Accra STEM Academy, a school dedicated principally to teaching and learning of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is almost complete.
That's President Akufo-Addo there, and the Executive Director for Institute for Education Studies, Dr. Peter Partey-Ante, has indicated that government must come to terms with the reality of the situation, that it is indeed the case that some teachers assist some of the students in writing examinations, and that must also be kept. He makes the point that living in the state of denial that some teachers are collaborating in the examination malpractice could be detrimental to the development of the education sector in this country. And we'll hear from Dr. Peter Partey-Ante shortly. But former President and flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, is urging minority members of parliament to be vigilant and resist the draconian policies the government intends to introduce in its final lap as elections are due in 9 months. Addressing a retreat of the NDC MPs in Ho, John Mahama commended the MPs for standing up to the government in fighting harsh conditions imposed on Ghanaians.
I know that you have only in the last few days returned to Parliament after the Christmas break to continue with important business of state. Your return is opportune and timely, as it affords you an opportunity to maintain even greater vigilance and oversight over a government that is increasingly becoming desperate and will no doubt be attempting to ram draconian policies down the throats of Ghanaians. On the evidence of what we've seen so far, I believe I speak for the generality of Ghanaians when I say that you in the minority have lived up to expectation. And you've done this by putting in valiant efforts to check the excesses of this government. You've stood firmly and pushed back against blatant abuse of parliamentary rules and standing orders. You've held this marauding government at bay and fought against their very unpopular policies. I must remind you not to lose sight of the fact that you, as minority members of parliament, have become about the last bulwark between an overbearing and desperate and non-performing government and the people of Ghana. Ghanaians are counting on you to secure them against poor governance and keep this government in check. The effort you put into this will contribute to the consolidation of the confidence that Ghanaians have in the NDC due to our much better track record, our commitment to do better, and the well-considered policy proposals like the 24-hour economy program, which aims to build an economy that works around the clock to enable economic recovery.
That's the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama there. We're just receiving a statement from the Ghana Water Company Limited. So the management of the Ghana Water Company Limited is hereby notifying the public of a scheduled shutdown of one of the plants in Bong that serves the Krobo Somanya area from the 14th to the 15th of February 2024. This temporary shutdown is essential to facilitate the installation of a new interconnection pipeline and foot valves at the Bong water treatment plant, which is expected to boost the capacity of the plant by approximately 3 million gallons per day. That's some 13,600 meters cube. Now, while according to Ghana Water Company Limited, they appreciate the inconvenience this may cause, the Ghana Water Limited assures the public that their dedication and the team of the engineers will ensure and work diligently within the estimated time to restore water supply to the affected communities. This measure is in alignment with the Ghana Water Company Limited's commitment to significantly enhance the water supply capacity from Bong to parts of the Eastern and Greater Accra regions to effectively address the water demands of the growing population. So the affected communities, including Somanya, the entire Krobo area and its environs, are kindly urged to bear with the Ghana Water Company Limited during this period of the shutdown. So we're talking about between the 14th and the 15th of February. So that's from Wednesday to Thursday maximum. That's according to the Ghana Water Company Limited statement. This is something coming through right now for the people living in areas as Boom. They're talking about Krobo and Somanya areas are going to experience some acute water shortage as a result of the shutdown of the Bong water treatment plant for some maintenance and also to boost the water supply there by approximately 3 million gallons per day. That's information just coming through. Right after this quick break, we're getting to the world of business with Michael Ogbodu. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Every experience I say, in Fiama Kumakuduni, when you know the dean of the Lord, Yatunsa from Bibia, Sambra number Kayahu, ICGC, Christ Temple East, Seshi, Gra, and that was 18 February 2024. I mean on a coping set, Yadi experience in our baby, Yadi on Yakuba, Nasida, and then a Tuntumamano, Naho, and over here, Osunsha, it will be a big media CB, my brother and Jamiton, and then you to form to say, Daughters of Glorious Jesus, Mercy Chinwo, and Yafufra account brain. Tickets in here, 100 Ghana cedis standard, double 180 Ghana cedis, near 200 Ghana cedis, and a family of 5 air 400 Ghana cedis. When your ticket to be at all, Bachona Tota, Hacho, Cantonment, Dansuma, Tema, Committee 8 and 11, Shell Filling Station, but star 725 star 8080 hash. Upemucha Chemumbia Frame, I was 0546 907473. I work me now what and I made you casing in SU now. Powered by Enterprise Line, a work for Libisuni, just one group of companies, civil insurance brokers and property electronics, and the Afufropia or Kahun is the doing of the Lord Ampa.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up, Bank of Ghana pledges commitment to ensuring compliance to anti-money laundering and combating terrorism financing to prevent EU blacklisting. We'll bring you details of that and more shortly. Please stay with us. Let's bring you our top story now. The Bank of Ghana has pledged its commitment to ensure that accountable institutions comply with anti-money laundering, combating the financing of terrorism and proliferation of weapons of mass destruction requirements. According to the Second Deputy Governor, Elsie Adu-Awaji, this has become necessary to prevent blacklisting by the European Union market. She spoke at the opening of the pre-assessment workshop on the subject matter organized by the Financial Intelligence Center.
It's still very low in terms of those who put themselves up for election. If you look at the analysis, we have course to be done about the first 6 or 7 elections. It's not satisfactory. It's still very low.
Joku, from tonight, they can have access to decent, modern accommodation, and they can have their dignity.
January have already started.
The government is failing to live up to its responsibilities.
The universal banks
Waiting for the
of this exercise and of the upcoming third round evaluation, and we continue to sensitize the smaller financial institutions we regulate and supervise, just so that they can hold themselves in readiness. And we know that our colleague regulators are also embarking on similar processes. So, like I said, we're fully committed and will continue to support this going forward.
So that was the Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Adu-Awaji, speaking there. Meanwhile, the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Anti-Money Laundering in West Africa has underscored the need for a self-assessment of Ghana's preparedness for the third round of evaluation in 2025. Mauzu Umare is Director of Policy and Research at GAIBA.
Direction for regulatory, supervisory and enforcement authorities so that they know where they face. The outcome of the NRA also provide a critical input for the development of a national risk-based approach framework that will guide the reporting entities in the implementation of the RBA. It serves as a tool for engagement with local and international stakeholders, and it will facilitate resource mobilization. It enables a country to enhance its compliance with international standards, not only the FATF standards, but a number of the United Nations framework, particularly in relation to countering terrorism financing and proliferation financing. You can also use it as a tool for public enlightenment, education, community mobilization in support of your AML CFT efforts.
So that was Mauzu Umaru, who is the Director of Policy and Research at the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa. Now, away from that, the latest data from Numbeo has ranked Ghana as the third country in West Africa with the highest cost of living. It added that the country ranked 20th among 24 countries with the lowest cost of living in Africa. Numbeo's rankings is based on rent index, groceries index, restaurant purchase index, and local purchasing power index. Out of these, the overall cost of living index was 26, ranking the country third in West Africa with the highest cost of living. Ghana's position, according to Numbeo, was influenced by the slowdown in inflation and the appreciation of the cedi in 2023. On that note, that'll be all for the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports.
Good evening, it's time for the sports news on Hot Edition. My name is Emmanuel Andam. Let's start from the just-ended African Cup of Nations, where the interim coach of the Ivorian national team, MS Fire, has described winning the African Cup of Nations as a fairy tale. His opposite number, Jose Pereiro, who is the head coach of the Nigerian national team, has acknowledged his Nigerian national team for their remarkable efforts at the African Cup of Nations and admits they fell short in the final to a better opponent.
It's more than a fairy tale than anything else, actually. It's difficult for me to realize what I'm going through right now. And when I think about all we went through throughout the competition with hard times, when we were late, when we came back in the last minute, it's quite great. We are lucky enough. We have enjoyed miracles. But we didn't leave anything. We kept fighting to the last minute. We showed that we are men, and in spite of anything, against all odds.
I agree with you. Our team did a fantastic tournament, but today, Cote was better. Did a very good game. Our team didn't play or didn't show our level. Is the truth? No the same individual quality and collective performance like we did until now. When this happened, only I must say, congratulations for Cote d'Ivoire. Was better than us today. Congratulations for my players because they did a fantastic job until today. They want, like me, they want to win this trophy for offer for the Nigerian people, for Super Eagles, but they could not, we could not. We need to accept the result.
So those are the voices of Nigerian head coach and Ivory Coast head coach. Still in the AFCON, Ivorian midfielder Simon Adingra, who was voted the best player of the tournament, says he enjoyed being a starter for the Ivorian national team and encourages the young players in Ivory Coast to keep fighting to represent the country.
Before I came to the tournament, I was a starting player. So my ambition is to go back and keep going and fighting for my place. They should keep believing in themselves, like nothing is impossible. If you have a chance to do something, just go for it.
So that was the voice of Simon Adingra, who was voted a young player of the tournament. Moving away from the AFCON, Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino says that Chelsea are ready to compete like they have shown in past games and hope to achieve a level of consistency when they face Crystal Palace later tonight.
The amount of, the noise that was big than before. And the difference is, I think the performance was really good. And I think we really feel good because I think we realized that we need to compete in different way. I think the way that we compete the Aston Villa game was in the way that we need to approach the games, in the game that we need to, feel that we can perform in this way. And I think it was good opportunity and good game for now, to try to be consistent in the next game.
So that was the voice of Chelsea head coach Mauricio Pochettino, and that brings an end to the sports news with me, Emmanuel Andam. Up next is entertainment.
Hello there, you're still tuned in to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. It's now time for the entertainment news segment powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Kofa, the home of premium entertainment content. TV3 has officially outdoored a new show. The afternoon show is a fresh, fun entertainment lifestyle show set to give viewers an all-new daytime show like never before. Here are some highlights of the premiere.
And we are airborne, top of the afternoon to you wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to the brand new show on TVV. This is the afternoon show. My name is Godwin Nambo.
And my name is Anita Ekia Ekufu. Godwin, it's an absolute pleasure to do this with you. And I'm already feeling the heat.
The pleasure is all mine.
We have a reputation to keep, and we don't take that lightly at all. And that's why we put in all that it takes. The talent, the content, the producers, the market research, to make sure that we are serving the viewer exactly what they're looking for. Every time is a good time to innovate. Every time is a good time to entertain, to inform, and to educate our viewers. And so in the afternoon, like you mentioned earlier on in your intro, there's a lot of hustle and bustle, a lot of stress and heat out there. So how about we tone it down a little bit with the content that appeals to our viewers? So with the One More the Afternoon show, we have the best talents, like yourselves. We have the best producers. We understand what the viewer wants. So why not put a package that will get our viewers glued to their, their TV set throughout the afternoon as well.
Well, to my final story, the British Council has stepped up effort in enhancing the creative potential of some personnel within the art space with the Ghana Arts Project. Now, the second edition of the program aims at providing training and exhibition platforms for practitioners to access global markets,
which offers creatives in different art forms the opportunity to showcase and develop their amazing talents. The season 2 of the Ghana Arts Project is set to follow suit. Open to all young artists and creative entrepreneurs who are hoping to nurture the exceptional talents, the key to accessing the global market.
The first edition was successful, and that it provided creatives the opportunity to showcase their products and services. It also gave the opportunity for people to network and get together to collaborate and work more, and also have opportunities that are available through the British Council to creatives.
Speaking at the opening of the second edition of the program, Project Manager of Arts and Culture at the British Council, Andrew Intuya Mensah, reiterated the need for artists to enhance their creative potentials to meet industry standards.
As the world is changing, skills is the only thing that can get you through. And of course, creatives can say they have their skills, they have their ideas, and they have their own talents. But I don't think it's only talent that can get you out there. You need to have the additional skills that will make you more accessible to your customers. You also need the ability to kind of connect with the outside world. And if you don't have this and you just have an idea, how do you get out there to have your products, and services to your customers? So I feel that you need to have the skills that will put you out there as a creative and also build you up with the connections and the collaborations that you have.
Ghana Arts Season 2 will from 22nd February to April 11, starting from the Northern Regional Capital Tamale through to Kumasi on March 14, then finally to Accra on the 11th of April.
That brings an end to the entertainment news here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa. For more news, log on to 3news.com. Alfred.
Definitely, you're back at 8 o'clock.
With a wind down.
Yes, and you join me and the rest of the team at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. Have a great evening.
Mm-hmm.